Hi guys, it's Ray, and today I'm going to share 10 regrets I have from this minivan camper build. They're not all mistakes, but a lot of this crap is hella frustrating. Now, I got to unload all of this junk. Another day, another problem. Come out and there's a long alarm going off. It blocks my access to my lower storage cubby here from inside to outside. Because I got this thing blowing up my skirt from the bumper to the roof. I'll show you how I ended up overthinking, overbuilding, and overpaying in what was supposed to be a simple minivan camper build. But if this happened out in the middle of the desert or somewhere off-grid, you'd be screwed. These first few are design issues that could have been solved by fixing my biggest mistake. Regret number one, this minivan is too small. I bought this 2006 Mazda MPV minivan based on price and condition. It had low miles, only one owner, and it was less than $8,000 at the time. I bought it online without knowing the exact dimensions inside. That was a mistake. I'm over 6 feet tall, and this Mazda is much smaller than Toyota, Honda, and Dodge minivans. I really wanted a Toyota Sienna all-wheel drive, and if I could do it all over again, I'd wait longer until I found the right van. This was the right now van. I've made it work, but I have a lot less room inside, so I had to get creative. All I do is pull right there and let it go. It drops straight down to a bed. I built a folding sofa bed with drawer slides so it could be more compact, giving me more leg room. I made modular movable furniture that I could slide forward when I wanted to camp. I just have to move the front seats forward first. I have a hidden toilet in this box, and my kitchen sink box is movable too. I even cut and hinged my countertop in 2 places so it could fold up and out of the way at night. All great solutions to problems I wouldn't even have if I just bought a bigger van. Regret number two, the sofa bed was too wide. I built my first folding sofa bed before I bought the minivan. I had a twin XL size folding foam mattress in a guest room, so I made the frame that size, 38 inches wide. I also cut the cushions to size and paid a professional upholsterer hundreds of dollars to cover them in this blue Sunbrella fabric. Quick tip, Sunbrella fabric is perfect for car camping because it's water and UV resistant. Anyway, I built the whole thing before getting a van. And once I did a test fit, it took up way too much space. So I took it apart and cut all the wood pieces and cushions down to 30 inches wide. And then I paid the upholsterer to reupholster the smaller cushions. That was an expensive lesson. And that wasn't the only thing I made too wide. Regret number three, the sink box was too wide. My first sink box was too wide and too heavy. It had thick wood, a deep stainless steel sink, and a slide-out shelf for a coffee pot I never used. I also made easy on-off wood cabinet fronts secured by tiny magnets, which looked cool but turned out to be a big hassle. Plus, they added extra weight. But the biggest problem was that it was too wide to slide forward without moving the driver's seat forward, which meant I couldn't drop the sofa down into bed mode unless I moved both seats forward and then slid the sink box forward. And that meant I couldn't stealth camp. I couldn't just climb into bed without getting out of the car. At that time, I had dreams of stealth camping. I didn't have all this gear on the roof that screams off-grid camper. Those days are long gone. So I built a new narrow kitchen box that stays forward all the time unless I have a passenger. You should really check out the build video for it. From running water and AC power to a removable magnetic spice rack. It's got a lot of cool features. I'll leave a link in the description. Regret number four, the hidden toilet. Having a hidden toilet sounded like a great idea. I mean, nobody wants a bathroom in the kitchen, right? So I built this amazing low-profile toilet with a full-size soft-closed seat, complete with a 3D printed urine diverter and a 3-speed exhaust fan, all in a custom box. But that box also served as the base to support my folding countertop, which means it can't be used anytime the counter is folded down. That means anytime I have my air fryer and my stove set up, but also when I'm in transit mode because the counter rests on top of the box when I'm driving. So now that the custom toilet has been relegated to nighttime emergencies, I have a commercial privacy tent awning mounted to my driver's side roof rack. I keep a folding toilet seat set up inside. Regret number five, shower tent setup. Speaking of privacy, my original super cheap DIY shower curtain setup turned out to be a real pain. The design was cool. This is how the private shower area looks once I have it set up. I have 2 shower curtains hanging on a 16-foot tent pole that I bend in half and thread into these tiny eye bolts on my roof rack. I have 2 on either side. Then I use one of my awning support poles to hold up the edge farthest from the van. That pole sits inside a plastic weight on the ground to keep it from moving, and I use spring clamps to hold the shower curtain in place. It worked fine, but it took about 15 minutes to set up or break down, and it didn't fare well on windy days. It became such a pain, I just stopped setting it up. Then I purchased the commercial shower tent from 23Zero. It's purpose-built for this, and it takes less than 1 minute to set up. I do miss having that tent pole to hang out wet clothes to dry, but I have no regrets on buying the new shower tent awning. Have you ever heard the saying that perfect is the enemy of good? Well, that's my whole life story. I always add to a project and I keep tweaking it so much so that I either A, I don't finish it, or I overcomplicate it so much that it doesn't look or work like it should. I'm always thinking that more is better, but it's not. And a car camper is a great example of that. These next few are perfect examples of how to not keep it simple. Regret number 6, the complicated roof setup. The first thing you notice about the outside of this van, it's not stealthy. It has 3 gearboxes, a Thule roof box, 3 solar panels, and a really big awning. And all that added height raises the clearance of this short minivan to a whopping 7 feet 3 inches tall. I didn't plan to have all this gear on top of my minivan. In the beginning, I just wanted an awning and a solar panel. That's it. But I just kept adding stuff. I didn't have roof racks, so I paid to have special tracks riveted to the roof. Then I added some crossbars. I got a great deal on a used Thule roof box, so I mounted it, and for a while, that was enough. More on that Thule box coming up. I literally don't know what to do. Next, I added a giant awning and 3 DIY gearboxes. That took up the whole roof. So the only way to add solar was to mount it on top of everything and hinge it so I could still get into stuff. All right, so to get into these gearboxes, I just unhook these straps from the front that hold down the solar panel, and now go to the back and I undo these 2 straps like this, and now I have access to the boxes. So now I get onto this bucket here, like this. I take these 2 little prop rods and I can lift up the solar panel like this, and that holds it up so I can get into the boxes. Got room to throw my trash into there. Then this box comes out, and then I can take this box and I sit it down on the ground somewhere. So now I take this prop rod and I'm able to lift the solar panels all the way up, and this holds it. And now I can get into the storage unit and get all the junk out of it and throw it on the ground. And that's the problem. To get into my gearboxes or my Thule box, I have to lift up and prop open the solar panels. That's not a big deal if you're camping for a while, but it's a real pain on short trips, or if it's too windy to leave the solar panels propped up. And I also have to carry that big bucket or a step ladder to get up that high. I think it's time for a redesign. Regret number 7, putting my power station in the trunk. One benefit to a lot of minivans is the deep storage space you get by removing the third row seats. I was thrilled when my big power station fit under the sofa bed. The back platform is hinged, so I had easy access to it, right? Not so fast. I bought my first power station in 2020 and it didn't have Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, so no mobile app. That means you have to physically turn it on and off. For me, that meant going outside the van, lifting the hatch, moving the cushions, and lifting the panel. And I made it all worse when I installed a swing-out cargo carrier. I had to get out of the van, unlock and swing open the carrier if I had enough room, then lift the hatch, move the cushions, lift the panel. I got old really fast. I tried different locations for the power station, but in the end, that open space in the trunk was just too perfect. So after a year, I upgraded to a newer power station that had a mobile app. And hallelujah, I was in control. I can easily see how much solar is coming in and how much power I'm using. And probably the best thing is that I don't have to go outside and around to the back when I want to turn the AC inverter on and off. I can do it all from the phone. Regret number 8, no cooler ventilation. My first build had 2 small 12-volt portable coolers right next to each other just beside my sofa. I had tested them briefly, but not for days on end and not in extremely hot temperatures. That was a mistake. I had plans to go out west to Flagstaff, Arizona. A couple days into the trip, the coolers were constantly cycling, pulling way too many watts. You can see here the inverter is pumping out 460 watts, and the fridge and freezer were pulling between 100 and 114 watts consistently. They were hot to the touch and blowing out hot air. Not good. And when I checked the temps using the Bodega app, The fridge was about 42 degrees and the freezer was at 9 degrees. That's borderline unsafe. Any higher and my food would definitely spoil. To make a long story short, I did throw out all my food and I finally figured out what I did wrong. I had blocked 50% of the airflow in my refrigerator and probably 75% of the freezer. The back wall was a solid board, so no way for air to circulate there. And by having the coolers just a few inches apart, they basically heated each other up. To fix it, I cut a hole in the front part of the wallboard, so I was able to keep one cooler. I did have to remove the second cooler from back here because there just isn't any way to ventilate it in this current van build design. But on the plus side, I do now have room for 2 new storage bins. But because I wanted to have the same amount of food storage, I bought a much larger cooler to go up here in the front. And it does hold all the food I want it to, but because it's so big, it blocks my access to my lower storage cubby here. So now I have to reach all the way around here if I want to get pots and pans and plates out. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Regret number 9, the shelf in transit mode. Do you recognize this? You may have seen it in my other videos. Inside the van, when I'm done cooking at night, I put the air fryer and the stove on the shelf I made outside the van. I can take the shelf from inside and use it outside as a workbench. Other side of the van, I've got that same shelf, but this time it's hooked on the passenger side. Back inside the van, I use it to secure the sink, the compost bin, and the stove. And out here away from the van, that same shelf makes for a great food prep table. It's a shelf, a workbench, a cooktop, a mounting base. I use this thing everywhere. I don't regret making the camper table shelf, not for 1 second. I just wish I had a better, safe way to store it. I'm big on safety, so when I'm driving, I call it transit mode, I try to strap everything down to limit flying projectiles in a potential accident. So I slide the board in front of my sofa and under my folded countertop. I strap it in and I bungee my stove, compost bin, and even my sink bowl to it. Everything stays put. Sounds good, right? Well, not on short trips. I have no access to the storage under the sofa. I keep food and snacks in there. I have no way to get to my microwave. I've blocked it in. And the worst part is I can't drop the sofa down to a bed for a quick nap while traveling. Sure, it makes it safer to carry stuff, and safety is really important. But come on, man. You should have thought this one through. And regret number 10, the fucking Thule roof box. This is the problem. This key, so I put it in. It's hard to turn because the little locking things don't lock. But now I can't open this. I can't open it. I can't even turn the key to get it out. This is why these things suck, because the cargo shifts inside. And actually I'm on a driveway, an inclined driveway, which does not help at all. But basically when the cargo shifts and somehow it blocks the little locking rods that are on both sides. This thing can be opened from both sides. And this happens all the time. So at any point, if you need to get something out of this, you may not be able to open it. And if you can get the key in, you may not be able to get the key out, which means that while you're going down the freeway, potentially this thing could shift, the cargo shifts, it could unlatch, and then the thing starts flapping up and down. Luckily, I have solar panels on top of mine to kind of cushion it, but I won't even know it's happening. Okay. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'll beat the shit out of it. Hey, how's it going, neighbors? Look at that shit. I have a love-hate relationship with this little camper. I love all the creative solutions that I came up with. Creative solutions to problems that I created. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. In the meantime, I've got to get back to business. The business of banging out my frustrations.